What's up, guys? For those of you guys who don't know me, my name's Frankie Finn, and I'm the author of the book Beyond the Agency Box. I've also built 3 different digital marketing agencies up since about 2007 to 100 plus simultaneous clients, and I've helped hundreds of people around the world to live this whole beach agency laptop lifestyle. This is kind of a part 2 from the last video. If you haven't already checked it out, is how do you actually create SOPs? And I'll tell you the hardest kind of SOP to create. The easiest one, I should say, are the repetitive tasks, things that are like really obvious that you do like 100 times a day and don't want to do, admin, setting up landing pages, shit like that. The hardest ones to do are decision-making processes, is taking things like how you make decisions out of your head. And so I want to give you guys like a real-life example that hopefully will make this easier, because if you can have staff make decisions on your behalf just like you would make decisions, what happens is you can have like a self-managing agency that like kind of takes care of itself. So let's get into how to do that. So I want to talk to you guys about the bane of existence, also known as Facebook ads. I don't know if you can see my kids here. We're in the canyon here. Got some echoes. Echo! And in creating your SOPs, I'll tell you the hardest one you'll ever make is the ones where you make decisions. Now, I had this experience, I don't know, in the last year I've been banned from Facebook, like my personal account. I've had 6 different business managers over the year. They're all banned. I'm like super duper mega kicked out of the Google or the Facebook ads. So I've had to learn how to manage Facebook ads with like help, right? Like literally I cannot touch my own, I can't touch any of the ad accounts. Like I can't open them up. So I've had to really rely on my SOPs. Now, for a lot of people, most of those things would be easy. Okay, so like I have a process for here's how we create images. I have a process for here's how we do the targeting. I have a process for all my ads. But I'll tell you the hardest one that we had to come up with was like, how do I decide when to turn on and off ads? For those of you guys who run Facebook ads, you know what the fuck I'm talking about, where it's like it's anything but set and forget. You're constantly fucking with them like every day or two. And so the first thing I had to do, by the way, and this is true of any SOP of decision making, is like, what are the 4 or 5 or 10, you know, ideally you probably want 5 or less. Like, what are the important factors here that I'm looking for? Okay, so the first thing is I realized Facebook ads, like ultimately what I was after were numbers. And so if an ad was achieving a certain number, I left it alone. If it wasn't, I fucked with it. And then the question was like, what do I fuck with, right? Like, and by the way, I don't know if any of you guys ever did this, but in college I took one computer programming class. Hated it. It was kind of like a requirement, but there were a lot of things in there called if and else statements. And the if and else statements are like, if this is true, do that, else do this. And you can set up parameters, and one of those things that I realized is like, well, in our case, we're doing, you know, certain lead types. If those leads are $10 or less, then I just don't fuck with it, right? If they're between $10 and $20, that's on the high side. But we, you know, with our math, we have like very $100 high value kind of clients. The math still works. If it's above $20, change it. So it's like an if else statement, right? Like that's how you set up the SOP. If the ads are $10 or less, leave them alone. If they're $10 to $20, let's tweak something. If they're 20 or more, we need to try again and go back to the drawing board. And so this is how I see Facebook ads. I'm like, there's a lot of little buttons and variables. My kids are climbing on a mountain. It looks super dangerous, but super cute. I've deduced Facebook ads personally to 4 variables. And I think people forget that there's really a human on the other side. So the first is who do I target? Like, who am I showing ads to? Second is, what am I offering? Third is, what image am I using? And then the fourth is like the copy, the messaging that supports that offer. But I'll tell you, if you just nail targeting and offer, like most of the time your shit will work, even with like a half-assed image and a lot of other things. So those are the things that I want to test and tweak first, because those are the things that make the difference. I'll tell you, this is my experience. I find everything else, like so many of the other buttons and things, that they're mostly bullshit. They're minors. They're like majoring in minors kind of thing.
That is one big pile of shit.
Yes, yes, says Jeff Goldblum. That's a bunch of bullshit. So I'm not saying those things don't matter at all. You know, I'd be lying if I said they didn't. But like Perry Marshall calls this forest, trees, leaves. Forest is like the really big shit. Trees are like the medium-sized things, and leaves are like the little green things. So I'll see people have like a really bad ad and a really bad offer, and they'll go, well, let's try switching the button from green to orange. And I'm sure it makes a difference, right? Like, you know, every little thing makes a difference. But, you know, the big thing is the offer. The big thing is the targeting. The big thing is, you know, what kind of image you're using. And I like to use something called dramatic demonstrations, which there is a training on this channel, which is fucking awesome, that I suggest you check out. Didn't actually talk about this in my book, but I could write a whole book just on demonstrations because it's that good. In fact, you're actually looking at one of them. One of the things is, you know, one of the things I teach people is agency lifestyle design. So you'll notice all my videos are a demonstration of, you know, actually fucking living a life, right? Amazing how that works. So when it comes to SOPs, you should be able to come up with relatively easy, here's how I make a landing page, here's how I write an email, here's how I do those things. But the decision-making ones are the hardest ones. And you want to think about that like the programmers. If this is true, do this. If that is true, do that. So like mine is an ABC. Is the ad $10, the lead cost $10 or less? Just keep rolling with it. Is the lead cost between $10 and $20? Well, try first changing the targeting, or try changing the image, or try changing, you know, what we're offering. And we have an ad library and things like that. And I'll tell you, it's been a real blessing, actually. It didn't feel like that at first, to have to run Facebook ads without actually having an ad account. Because you have to start to think about, how can I manage this thing only through processes? And at first that was like, I was really annoyed and I hated it, but now it's this amazing thing where we can manage the whole system just through processes. When you do that, your agency grows without you having to be the one growing it. So I hope that's super helpful for you guys. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to subscribe, and may the force be with you.